Welcome to the Forever Better Academy podcast, where you will be given the principles, tools, and techniques to reach the next stage on your journey of self-mastery. Who could you become? I'm your host, Wade Vincent. If you're not willing to die for your art, then how committed are you really? My name is Wade Vincent, and you are joining me again for another episode of the Forever Better Academy podcast, episode 50. We have made it to number 50, and I'm absolutely stoked that you guys have been along on this journey so far, and I'm hoping that you're getting some valuable insight and tools, techniques, and principles that are changing and impacting and benefiting you in your life. So today what I want to go through is the importance of being so committed to your craft that you feel prepared to die for it. Now, when you navigate through your youth, right, you'll spend a lot of time trying on different personalities, doing different things, activities, experiencing life. And that's exactly what you should be doing, spending your time living, learning, growing, understanding, and becoming who you are, and also who you want to be, what you like doing, really creating and telling the stories that shape your identity, right? Now, when you do that, there will ultimately come a time, and sometimes people find it faster, sometimes it takes a lot longer to find that calling, I guess, if you want to use that terminology. When you find your thing, you become so consumed by it that all you want to do, all you can think about is that thing, right? Just that becomes this all-encompassing activity that permeates every little nook and cranny of your life, and for me that was the case when for those of you that have listened since the beginning, you are aware that I used to be a rapper, and for me that was everything. It was my entire identity, who I consider myself to be, all I wanted to do. It was to the point where I would, I'd be at work when I was driving the trucks as a delivery driver, and I'd be working on an album or a project, and at lunchtime I'd pull up the truck and get out my headphones, and as cliche as it sounds, I would literally write rhymes. And, a la Eminem on the bus in 8 Mile, that's what it was, and that's all I could think about. I was totally consumed by it. I would spend every last cent of money that I had to get new beats and or press albums or press flyers or get merchandise made. It was just, I was all in, right? And you have to be. You've got to be all in on that thing, because if you're not entirely committed and dedicated to the craft, how is anyone else going to believe in you if you haven't, gone all in and put all your chips on the table, so to speak? So, all I could think about, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew my path. I'd chosen, which is an important thing, I had to make the decision and make that call. And it was everything. Everything else was just a byproduct, things that I had to go through, parts of life where it needed to be done. Had to go to work and, have a day job that didn't really fulfill me or fuel my soul or contribute to my dreams and passion in any way, but it kept food on the table. So, it was a necessary evil, I guess, if you would, if you could say that. It's an interesting thing when you make that call, There's one thing to find interest or passion in something, right? When you're discovering your art. And I'll use that terminology because no matter what it is, it's your craft. This is your art, your skill set, whatever it is that drives you, right? You could be, let's say, you're you you install carpet in the house, right? And it might seem like just a very, simple thing that, people might not be excited or driven towards doing, but I guarantee you there's somebody out there that is absolutely enthralled by the different textures and weaves and the fabrics and the composition of carpets and the practicality of it and the texture of it and when they lay carpet in the home, they do everything meticulously and perfectly and are proud of their work. Right? And I think that's a huge part of it, to think about that, the pride in your work and what you've created and the time and effort you've invested in your art to deliver upon the best version of it that you can do. Right? There was nothing like it when I spent time. I like the term, some people used to throw around the term wordsmith, right? When we were writing rhymes, and I was so captivated by the idea of there is like a perfect way to put words together. Like, you can tell a story in many different ways, right? But getting that perfect structure, the way the words come together, the organization, and then the underlying layers, right? The levels of intricacy in the rhyme patterns, the cadence and delivery, the way that you flow over the beat, the bounce of the melody, every aspect. I was immersed in it. I couldn't get enough of it. Like I completely I liken it to when they say you geek out on something. Like I just wanted to know everything about it. Wanted to understand how it worked, why it did this, why when I combine these two words or this string of words together in these paragraphs that create a certain feel or allow me to express in a different way because of the way that I've considered how I piece together my rhymes. And that took away everything else that in the world that didn't matter. I had a laser focus on it. All I could think about, right? Even now, like if I want a zone and I want some peace of mind or clarity and freedom, I'll throw on a beat, put on an instrumental, and write a verse, just because it talks to me. I can't explain it in a better way. If you found your art and you understand how you want to spend your time in this life, you'll understand that sentence, and that it talks to you, right? And it's just I guess you have to have a lot of curiosity and interest, right? That leads you down that rabbit hole, and it is a rabbit hole because it's endless. It's really endless. How far do you want to take it? What is considered mastery? How far do you want to go? Now, I've mentioned this in previous episodes of the podcast. If you are intrigued by the concept of dedicating your life to your chosen craft, your art, go watch a documentary called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. Fantastic. Just the dedication to the art form of making sushi over I think it was 50, 60 years of doing this and giving it everything that you could to make the most perfect sushi possible. It's a fascinating watch. It's really cool. If you geek out, like I said, on this kind of stuff, go and watch it. You won't regret it. Now, when you find your thing, right? When you find that thing that ignites your soul, where when you found it, there's no what would I say? There's no confusion or doubt in your mind. It's just when you found it, you found it, And if you're questioning, is this my thing? It might well become your thing. And, that might be the thing that you're best at, but you haven't committed fully. You haven't made that call, right? You haven't decided. And that's probably the catalyst, the turning point to understanding and knowing that you're all in, is when you don't question it anymore. You don't question yourself on the chosen path, right? So, and this was the case for me, right? When I found my thing in hip hop music and writing rhymes, if I niched it down and dialed it in, it would be the word patterns and structures. You could call it poetry. That was what appealed to me. It could have been a different genre or a different type of songwriting, but it was ultimately how the words were structured, piecing together stories. More than saying that hip hop music was my passion. Hip hop music was the vehicle, so to speak. And when you find that thing, right, you find that you'll have all these other responsibilities in life that are demanding from you, because unless you've been blessed and with good luck, and the right timing, and there needs to be a market, right? If you I've ever heard the saying starving artist, right? It's because as an artist, it's not always easy to make money, right, and make a living off it. And a lot of that's changing now with some of the wonderful technology that exists, and it's exciting times for creatives, right? But for a long time, through history up until now, it was very hard to be taken seriously or make a considerable living off an art. Maybe different in Renaissance time or Renaissance time, in Italy back in the day, days of Michelangelo, perhaps. You could make a living off the art form, more than in society, like, in the last couple of hundred years. Now, getting to that point where there's an audience and someone that's willing to pay for your art is an important factor, right? This is the crossroads. This is a defining sort of moment on the path that you will come to. Now, there's two ways to approach this, and it's either you, as I say, you'll be lucky enough or blessed enough that there will be demand for your art and whatever it is that you're dedicated to and passionate about creating. And when there's a demand and it's there, you can absolutely make a wonderful, comfortable living off it. Now, the other side of that coin is that no one wants what you're making, and that's a possibility. Like, ultimately, that's kind of where I came to. Like, I wouldn't say there was like screaming demand for my music. There was people that absolutely were like, loyal fans and loved what I did, but not on a scale that I could make a living on it, right? So, and maybe, if I had have kept going, that might change. Who knows? You don't know, right? Only God knows. But I'm optimistic. I like to think that maybe that was the case, right? But anyway, if you're in the second category, right, where nobody wants what you're making, are you driven by making your art for the love of it, or for the money that you're going to get selling your art? Now, the key would be, to make enough money that you can live off your craft, so you can continue to make more of your art. That's the dream, right? Get that perfect balance of money coming in, so you have the time to be creative and make more of what you make. If you're not fortunate that that's the case for you, does your art hold less value? That's the question, right? Does it hold less value? If you have to have a day job to ensure that your family has money and your bills are paid, there's food on the table and a roof over your head, but your art gives you just this sense of purpose and joy and fulfillment, and it doesn't matter to you whether other people see it or want it or not, if it gives you meaning, is it any less valuable? What's a life without art, right? I wouldn't stop. I didn't stop. I still do what makes me happy and helps me to express my creativity in a free and transformative way, whether people, want it or not. It's necessary for your soul, I believe. So I don't think anyone should give up on their art if there isn't demand for their art, right? Now, the one of the struggles that I really faced in going down this path myself is, I guess it was the torment of, am I making the right decision? And that that happened on both sides of the equation. So I had the thought of, when I was making music and releasing songs, that voice in my head, am I making the right decision? Am I good enough to do this, right? The questioning, the doubt that creeps into your mind. And I feel like a lot of that is really a test for you to prove your commitment, right? Anything you ask for from the universe, if you put enough work and effort into it, you can have it. And the universe is going to constantly ask you to, confirm that you mean what you say and what you're asking for is still what you're after. That's never going to stop. If you have committed and gone all in and you believe, yep, my art is the thing, I'm going all in, this is what I'm going to do, spending my life doing, that doesn't mean that others aren't going to question you, or the universe isn't going to throw curveballs at you and test you, Like, I guess you could even say test your faith, right? Your faith in what you say you believe in, right? And then on the other side, like when I ultimately made the decision to, I guess, move on, in the sense of not pursuing music as a career or trying to make money or a living from it, then there was that element of, again, am I making the right decision? I've spent 15 plus years of my life doing that. Did I waste my youth? That's a heavy question, sometimes but you've got to reflect, no matter what your decision is in life, in every aspect, you have to reflect on your decisions. You don't just make decisions and go, oh, well, next, what's happening? You should reflect upon them and see if they've served you well, right? So if you make the wrong decision, you can make a correction. It was, yeah, I still think, as I said just earlier in this episode, could I have kept going? Maybe. Would it have been the right decision? It didn't feel like it at the time, and I made my decision, and I believe that my life has improved and I'm better for it, because it freed me from the constraints of the belief that I was only one person, or I was one type of person, or I was only capable of one form of output. So I feel like my decision was one that's not only impacted me, but has led to something like this podcast and Forever Better Academy in general, that hopefully is making a difference to other people's lives. And, when I was little, I used to talk to my mother about this stuff, where the in hindsight, where you can see the pieces of the puzzle, how they all interconnect, and at the time, things might not seem like they have any reason, or you can't understand why things occur, but further down the track, it becomes clear and apparent, right? So who knows? Maybe that was just, part of what I needed to do to get to here with you guys right now. And I still love telling stories, it's just a different vehicle, right? So ultimately, to get back to that decision, right, where you're faced with those crossroads I mentioned, where you have to ultimately decide how you are going to spend the rest of your life. It's a decision that everyone has to make. We all have to go through this. We might not know the meaning of life or why we are here, but what we have to do is understand that, well, while we are here, we've been given this blessing, this time, this opportunity. What are we going to do with it? How are we going to use the gifts that we've been given, being blessed with time and the experiences we go through that create and nurture the talents that we are given? How are we going to use those things to the best of our ability and for the benefit of others and our own self-growth and development? Those are the questions that you have to ask and face to ultimately, you know, give yourself meaning. Right? And this probably flows on to the debate where people often talk about the difference between fate versus free will, right? Now, I'm of the belief that you have control and freedom to make choices that determine how your life ends up. Absolutely believe, because those are the experiences that I've gone through that have shaped me and given me that understanding that the choices that I make have a flow-on effect and impact and change things in my life. And I like to subscribe to the idea too, because if you don't have free will, it's not as interesting or exciting a ride if you don't feel you're in control of it, right? If everything's predestined and mapped out for you, why would you have choice? Now, I mean, like this is not sort of I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's relevant. There's overarching concepts that tie into both sides, right? Ultimately, as we talk through the purpose of your art, right, and ultimately being prepared to die for your art, and what I really want to express there, and what I'm trying to articulate, is that you need purpose in life, no matter what it is, and that ties into that choice. If you don't give your life meaning, you will struggle and feel a sense of longing or frustration and always searching. Why do we search? What are we looking for, right? Every single person that I have ever spoken with or read about or have heard of and interacted with in some way, shape, form or another seeks purpose. Why would it be such a huge underlying theme within our society and every culture on this planet? People looking for the meaning of life, reason, purpose. I honestly believe it's hardwired and built into us to find a purpose. And I think the struggle is ultimately knowing and coming to accept that decision is yours and yours alone. Because if you it's a much easier narrative to outsource that decision or disbelieve in your freedom of choice. That way you can blame destiny or fate for the ill will that you have been handed, the bad hand of cards that you've received. It's easier to stomach that than to accept the decision that the choice is yours, to make the choice and it didn't work out, and then you feel that you're not enough. That's hard to swallow, right? That's something that, no matter how difficult that is, I believe that's the only way. All right? So the best way that I can sort of sum this up is, the purpose of your life is to give your life purpose. That's it. Nothing else. And you can decide whatever that is. There is no wrong answer. If you decide and you commit to that answer that you have come up with, that's yours. No one can take that from you. No one else can decide it for you. No one can live your life for you. That's your decision to make. Now, I feel like that has relieved so much weight off my shoulders, so much stress for me personally, and I honestly feel that that's going to be helpful to other people. It doesn't really matter, how we came to be here or why we're here. Those things absolutely are intriguing, and I'm curious about those things, and I like to dive in deep and understand my existence. But if you can look forever, at some point you need to make the call, right? Maybe that's your purpose. Does that fulfill you as your purpose, to spend your life searching and understanding life? Does that light you up? If it does, do it. Be prepared to die for your art. What I mean is, you've chosen your art. You take your craft and you live it and you understand it and you immerse yourself in it to the fullest till the day that you die. You need something to die for. You must have something to die for, something that you're willing to die for, because if you're prepared to die for something, then you will live for that thing as well. Absolutely need that in your life. The purpose of your life is to give your life purpose. Now, when you make that call, you dedicate your life to that thing. You go all in, everything you have. It shouldn't even be a question anymore, because you've committed and you love it and that's what you want to do. I'm not going to lie to you. People are going to hate you for it. And if you're prepared to die for your art, you honestly feel that you would die for it, who cares what somebody else says? Does their opinion of you and your activities and behavior and your life outweigh the decisions that you've made for yourself? Do you hold more weight and value in the opinions of others than the opinion of yourself and your own choices? I don't. No one else can live my life for me. Imagine a life spent listening to everyone else that didn't have your best interest at heart. And guess what? No one else in the entire world has your best interest at heart. Maybe your parents. They might have, but no one is going to have, your interest in their sights any greater than you do. That's my point. What I'm getting at is that, it's you. Who cares what other people think, And then ultimately, the most wonderful thing, the outcome from all of this is, you will have lived a life of purpose and made the most of the time that you were given to master your chosen art. You didn't only, as I say, you weren't just willing to die for your art, you were willing to live for it. You gave it everything. All of your entire existence was dedicated to the purpose that you chose for yourself. And in my eyes, that's a life well spent, right? I made a call. I stood by my decision. I chose to do what I love. And I enjoyed my life along the way, right? And that's how you become who you are meant to be. I say it every week, who could you become? This is how you do it. These are the things that have worked for me. And I know that they'll work for you. Even if it just sparks a little thought and gives you some insight, or gives you a way to consider things differently, presents you with an alternative viewpoint. All right, guys, make sure that whatever you choose, you're prepared to die for it. Okay? Now, go all in. It's your choice, all right? Who could you become? This is Wade Vincent. Once again, I thank you very much for being here. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching all the way through. I appreciate you. Please click on subscribe and like the video, share the video. Help me to hack the algorithm, so to speak, to get this to more people, because I know that these lessons that were shared with me that have impacted and changed my life for the better can do the same for others, and I'm on a mission to help that get out to the world. All right, guys, thank you so much, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye, guys.